All right, click link, show my channel here over at SubScribestar now over at Odyssey. So is Seven Dwarfs going to be the movie that ends Disney? Not as crazy as it sounds. It says here the budget for Disney's Snow White, starring Zegler and Godot, reportedly exploded over $500 million, which sounds hard to believe until you start getting into the numbers. And even a conservative estimate will get up to $400 million. That's just the cost of movies, especially when you look into what they spent on this. And quick video, because I feel a little petty doing reviews like this, because it's a movie that nobody is gonna watch, and I know Zach doesn't approve of these kind of videos where pop culture channels talk about pop culture. For some reason that upsets him. Well, he's a pop culture channel that talks about pop culture. I'm not sure how that works. He's a fantastic writer, though, so credit for that. Anyway, how does one movie get to $400 to $500 million, especially when it's a Snow White's not a second tier name by any means. It has recognition, but the actors involved with it and the wokeism that they're doing to it, it's a movie that has a lot of risks. I would think, oh, this is probably something to go have like a Deadpool approach, of a low budget approach to it. The problem with that is Gal Gadot probably has a big salary. It's like, yeah, but I wouldn't put her in a movie. Oh, as the witch is okay, she can play a witch, but I wouldn't put her in a movie if she needs a paycheck that's going to be out of the movie's budget, because it's time for Disney to start shrinking its movies down until they get back on a track that finds an audience, because they've been leaving the audience behind because they're getting so freaking woke. And then obviously with Zegler, it's like, well, probably neither one of those are the actresses for this movie, because they're not at least Northern European. Anyway, so Disney has been going as woke as possible, and they've been losing money for the past few years, and they're accelerating into it, which is freaking great, because they drink sanguine wine, the hemoglobin from the babies, and they worship Moloch, so let them die. Now enter off-white Zegler in the sacred European story in a tale of cultural appropriation of the marginalized, disenfranchised, and oppressed people of Denmark? I don't know. Hans Christian Andersen? I don't know who wrote Snow White. Somewhere in northern, the snowy regions. To the sinister, inverted Hollywood of the wizard's holy wood, Snow White becomes altered. Make the sacred profane with impurity, though to be fair to Zegler, she's probably 90% European. I'd love to see a DNA test coming off of her. And she looks Mediterranean. She would fit in Portugal at least, Spain, some of Italy. But she considers herself a brown POC, and she's, a marginalized person who's worth $20 million. How does I wish I was that marginalized, because in Weimar nobody, I guess, can hear these levels in the echo chamber that they're in. They just can't hear what they're saying. They have no idea. And even if they watch an interview of themselves, these people live in a different, like if you never not just met actors but actually talked to them, if you met a narcissist person, you know what I'm talking about. They're in a different world. A lot of them, not everyone in Hollywood is like that. Some people are. Sean Connery was kind of a normal guy. My friend's mom has a picture with, I don't know how she bumped into him, and he was just the nicest guy. Like, there are Hollywood people who are just the nicest people on earth. Anyway, so she's been putting her foot in her mouth over the years with the weird comment about making Snow White, but the guy, she kind of insulted her co-actor in it, and she sounds like just a total twat waffle, and is probably poison to a movie. I mean, you could do a calculus and figure, like, well, what will she cost the movie? And you could actually figure out, like, on her past movies and what this movie does, how much it's going to lose. You can go like, oh yeah, she's actually going to cost the movie $32 million because of the negative things associated with her. When you could have just got, Snow White. You could have got like a Swedish actor, someone from the Scandinavian countries. Now enter stage left Gal Gadot, who to the woke kids is a deleter of brown kids, and she is supporting the wrong side in that conflict that's going on right now. All I can say is I hope both sides are having a great time. Now, in her minus column, she was in the Patty Jenkins Wonder Woman 84, which I sat through. It was 2.5 hours of Blonde Man Bad. You think I'm kidding about that? Please, by all means, watch it, pause it, and note do a chart, a column, two columns, protagonists, antagonists, and then physical descriptions of them. You're like, oh, everyone looks like they're out of Aryan Central Casting. Patty Jenkins, why? To the point where there's background characters, and yeah, you have to be a little, I don't know, tinfoil hat to notice it. Two blonde background characters are leaving the mall where a blonde guy kidnapped kids or something, and they take a cigarette out and they throw the pack on the ground. Like that didn't happen in the 80s because someone would yell at you if you did that. That's just not what people did. But Patty Jenkins wants you to know that blonde people, European people, are the bad guys. You think I'm kidding about this? Go back and watch the movie. You can watch like the first half hour. Oh God, the opening scene was they're on their island, and there's like Sub-Saharan, African, Indian, Chinese, all kinds of people. It's like, so you're a tribe, but you're all from different parts of the world. God, that's painfully stupid. Anyway, and then there's a scene where the two guys in the Trans Am or something are driving around. I'm assuming they're white as well. It's so effing tiresome. That movie was really over the top, and that was in 2020, I think. Anyway, so that was that movie bombed hard enough to cancel Wonder Woman 3, which they were planning on making because Wonder Woman 1 got a pretty good reception. Now that wasn't a great movie. It was just a good movie in times of DC making a lot of bad movies, because I think they had Suicide Squad Part 1 before that, which a freaking bizarre movie because it started twice. So she's not looking too good for Hollywood, both Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot. So Disney, of course, decides to put them together and make Snow Off-White about girl power at a time when nobody gives a damn about POCs and girl power. That was like the Black Antifa riots of 2020. And then Hollywood goes, oh, Trump derangement syndrome 2016, that wasn't nearly enough. We're going full mask off with wokeism. It's like, yeah, but it's just not, you're just not taking the audience with you. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to see POCs in movies, and female POCs and women in general. Anything that looks woke, even if it's not woke. And I know Zach was yelling at people for Furiosa or maybe Madam Web or The Marvels or something. People don't even have to see the movies anymore because the perception is it's woke. And now we have such a sensitive hair trigger because of a Pavlovian response that when you see a little wokeism, you're like, I can't see any of the movie. It's just sickening to me to see. Even in Furiosa, where you had the man like at her mercy, and at the end of the movie, who's that guy? The guy Jason Momoa, I think. It's just stupid. And it's like, and now because we have such a hair trigger, it's a zero tolerance for woke. So Hollywood is kind of in a death spiral where they're gonna run this thing. They're gonna run the ship onto the rocks. They don't care. So you've got like just the worst perfect storm for this, where you have which should be a European mythology, folklore type of story, with European people in it who look like they fit, but it's like you saw what they did to Rings of Power or Witcher or Willow or all these other stupid remakes where everyone's race swapped and gay and fat and BLT, trans furry, otherkin, and how old are those things? Oh, they got canceled. Oh, good job. You gonna turn the ship around? No, dude, all gas, no brakes. But like, eventually you run out of other people's money. Yes, but that's other people's money, and that's the reality for a lot of Hollywood with where they're getting the investment money from the shareholders, and until the shareholders actually like take over Disney or Warner Brothers, this is just going to continue on this path. Because I think Disney is trying to open a gateway to the shadow dimension and release the Cthulhu level demons. So one would think, with all the negatives attached to Hollywood and the general atmosphere, the totality of the circumstances here, you'd shoot for $100 million or less budget, because Disney has been losing money every year for the past 4 years because woke diversity is cancer. Diversity and feminism. Nobody wants it. And it's like, you can get mad at the person who says that, but then you look at the left and you're like, so Concord, Dustborn, or all these movies I keep mentioning, there's like a dozen girl power movies over the past 5-10 years. How come, dear left-wing people, how come you're not seeing Charlie's Angels or Terminator or all these other stupid movies? And they don't have an answer to that, because the brutal reality is, oh, so Star Wars, Ubisoft Star Wars with that ugly chick, how come you guys didn't play that? Oh, It just wasn't. They make every effing excuse. It's like, why don't you just make games with TNA like people want? It's like, no, you can't have that. But you guys aren't buying the comics, reading, watching the movies, playing the video games. You're not buying any of this stuff. The woke has a very loud voice, but they don't actually buy the stuff. Yeah, but you can't have it. Okay, I mean, by all means, burn it down. I totally support accelerationism. Anyway, so for this, they spent $210 million on a movie that has everything against it, especially because of Gal Gadot and the conflict over in the Sandy place. It's like a perfect poop storm where the woke is fighting the woke. And in fact, you have within the movie, Zegler's on one side of the conflict and Gal Gadot's on the other side of the conflict. So it's the audience who would see this would be young and female and like 25-year-old teenagers kind of thing, like chicks who are oh so random, and they don't realize, like, you've been an adult for, like, biological adult for almost 10 years now. You're not a teenager, you know that, right? You're not a young person anymore. You're 26, like, whatever. So then you add in advertising at $100 million or more, except they ran into problems when they made this movie. The diversity hires who did the animation. See, the thing is with the affirmative action hires that come to Hollywood, it's not just the on-camera non-Euro actors. It's also behind the camera, the tech stuff. They have affirmative action hiring for all this stuff. Like, well, if you don't hire on merit, then you're not getting merit-based people. You're not getting the best. And they go, yes, that's right. But we have a Klaus Schwab, Larry Fink diversity checklist. Yeah, but if you don't have the best people working on a movie, you're going to run into cost overruns, and you're not going to have a very good movie. You're not going to have the best movie you could have. In fact, you're having reshoots that are going to be over $100 million. There's no way you're going to make a profit on this movie. And it's like talking to people who just want to drink the Kool-Aid. It's like, okay, by all means, drink the Kool-Aid. Anyway, and then they also need human actor reshoots, and so now you're at reshoots of $100 million or more, and depending on how extensive, you could be making another movie, which occasionally does happen. I think Indiana Jones Part 5 did that, where the movie was like, the movie budget to start with was like $250 million, $300 million, and then they had reshoots, and they had to use a lot of CGI to put the young Harrison Ford in the movie. It was just So you fight the Germans in this movie? Yeah. Okay, but I can't help but notice that 3 out of 5 movies you made those guys the bad guys. You don't think that might be played out? And to say that to them, to say like, oh, I never want to see another movie on World War II from that perspective. Again, if you want to do the Japanese perspective, I mean the Pacific conflict theater, by all means, go for it. That's a story that doesn't really get told. But honestly, in general, I'm just sick of World War II. I don't think I ever want to see a movie about World War II at all. And I'm not the only one who says that. Hollywood has really, really done this like blonde man bad thing, the German people bad to death. It's like it's just not selling. And I say this because Indiana Jones was a massive failure, as well as a bunch of other stuff that's coming out of Hollywood. Objectively, the numbers are public. You can go, oh, you lost $350 million. Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you just make the communists the bad guys? The film was supposed to be in the 50s or 60s or something, so that time period is communism. No, you don't understand. We're actually going to travel back in time to Roman times so that the Germans are still the bad guys. That's insane. You people are obsessed with a war that was like 70 years ago. But they are, and that's Hollywood. It's like Hollywood is not playing with a full deck. Anyway, so now you're up to a $400 million movie at a conservative. Apparently these are just like stand-ins to figure out like the settings because they're using animations. But so now you're up to a $400 million movie. Now keep in mind you have a movie that has to make 2 to 2.5 times that to profit, because theaters are not returning 100% of ticket sales, and foreign theaters are returning a very small amount, which a lot of people don't understand. They see a movie make $600 million, and people go, yeah, that movie bombed. It lost $200 million. And they don't understand. It's like, because the theaters have to take their cut, and that varies by the deals they have with the theaters. And like in that case, domestic cut is much, much higher than foreign cut, so you have to calculate in that stuff too. The thing is, there's no way that this movie is going to turn a profit. It's exactly the wrong woke movie at the wrong time. But I suspect that the left doesn't want another L because they've been taking a lot of woke L's and they're aware of that as well. So they might see it to support Zegler, but I don't think that's enough to balance out the IDF's gal baby deleter Godot. So you're probably looking at a few $100 million loss and further reputational harm to Disney and Hollywood's reputation. Oh, this guy, Peter Dinklage, what a douchebag this guy is. He says, he goes, okay, so Hollywood and the Seven Dwarves, right? So you got seven dwarves and probably three, probably some more dwarves who are just stand-ins for cinematography, set design, and then you also have a few more dwarves who are stunt dwarves who are really willing to sprain an ankle to do a couple little stunts. So you've probably got a dozen little people who who are actors. They like acting. They want to be in Hollywood. There's not a lot of roles for them, and they probably would have got some six-figure salary for a year of being actors, which they love to do. So Peter Dinklage comes along and goes, "No, you can't hire those people." Oh, thanks, thanks, Steve. He's hired. He's worth millions of dollars. He's in Hollywood. That's fine. But he doesn't want other little people to be hired where it's like there's just not movies. What was that Time Bandits movie? There's not a whole lot of roles in Hollywood for people who are under 4 feet. So he just gave them the middle finger. It's like, what? It's like, hey, Peter, that was $250,000 that Hollywood was going to pay me. Thanks, buddy. Anyway, so I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if Hollywood. I don't know if the left wing is going to. See, the thing is, the left wing, even if they know something is woke and they know it's going to make them look silly, they still don't pony up the money to go support these movies, these video games. The Ubisoft is a fascinating story because they got Assassin's Creed and they have the Star Wars movie, video game, sorry. And apparently that was a massive bomb. It sold 1 million copies, and like, believe it or not, 1 million copies is not enough to turn a profit for these expensive video games. And Assassin's Creed, they have a black character in Japan, and they're talking about the next Assassin's Creed is some kind of girl power character with, women who wear comfortable shoes, fuzz bumpers and Birkenstocks and whatnot. So you're looking at Ubisoft like, whoa, are you guys trying to go out of business? Yeah, that's like all these game companies, Sweet Baby and Black Girl, those are the political commissars, Black Girl Gamers, who they hire, and the Zoe Quinn and the Anita Sarkeesians. They know how to make money. They know how to make games that will sell, and they know how to make, Hollywood knows how to make movies that sell. They all know this, and they're willing to forego that money, to lose money. They don't care. I mean, a lot of it is it's not their money, and they're just kind of like parasites that'll go to another industry after they tank, Disney or Warner Brothers. They'll just go somewhere else. They don't care about the people below them. And the thing is, now there's no shortage of alternative entertainment. People are getting really into live streams, and we're talking like what's happening is there's a lot of relatively small live streams with 100 viewers to a few thousand viewers, and there's just a massive network of them, which is interesting because it takes money away from the mainstream narrative and it allows a massive increase in diversity of thought, Odyssey, Rumble, and stuff like that. But it means that people are not on the same page, and it kind of allows kind of an extreme divergence of thought. And like, I know I'm saying this to this audience, it's something that like the left would be very nervous of. But it's true. It's like it does allow people to go outside the spectrum of politically correct thought and to think of things in a new way that they have kind of been subconsciously censored from exceeding the parameters of allowable discourse. That's what the left wing has, a left wing limit, and the right wing has this controlled ops right wing limit. But now we have these live streams where anything goes, anything that's other than an actual threat of deletion, and so we're off on different pages, and like new networks and hierarchies and nodes are developing. I mean, it's a whole interesting study, and ADL, SPLC, ACLU will do these studies of like these Odyssey live streamers, and they'll include like Tim Pool as an extremist right wing whatever. It's most of it's nonsense, But there is an interesting. See, a lot of this stuff is interesting to analyze from a right of center perspective, but there is no money for that. For some reason, the right just doesn't have this kind of stuff. It's like all the media, all these groups are all left wing groups. All Soros and Fink and like WEF and BlackRock and State Street Vanguard kind of money funding these things. Anyway, so the précis of this video, which is supposed to come at the beginning and not the end, I guess this would be the summary, is it's they say $500 million, at least $400 million, maybe more depending on the reshoots, but it's going to be a truly colossal loss of money for Disney, which is just fantastic to watch because they drink hemoglobin from those under a certain age. These oxytocin related chemicals where they sacrifice souls to Moloch. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next episode.